Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Michelle Latocha Podcast. There has been a little gap. I'm just being real here because, life gets really crazy. But coming back more frequently and with my sister Grace.
Hi.
We are going to be teaming up on this podcast for a while and bringing you some series of like real life things that women struggle with. We're going to start today with how we were raised, our stories, and why we do this for a living, right? Because we're both super passionate about helping women live their best life. Grace will tell you a bit about how she got into it, but I think it's important to understand how we were raised and why we are the way we are, okay? Because we had an amazing childhood, but let's just be honest. I mean, everyone has that pivotal moment in their childhood and it really defines them as an adult. But again, like Grace is going to tell you, it doesn't define how your life will take. You can make changes, but today's going to be really light. There's going to be a lot of laughs. You're going to see the banter between us sisters, and we're going to start off with the age gap. Okay, Grace, do we get told all the time about we look alike?
Yeah, and I'm looking at a camera now. We're like, before we came on live, we're like, do we look alike? And then I'm like, I don't know. I always like if I was at a restaurant 2 weeks ago, and the owner of the restaurant came up to me and said, "Are you Michelle's sister?" Yeah. And I said, "Yeah."
I get the same thing. I'll call someone. They're like, "Are you Grace's sister?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't see it." And everyone's like, "Yeah, you guys see it." But I'll just be honest with Grace. Grace is a lot of years older than me.
So we're 14 years apart, and we think that there was an extra 8.
We do. We don't even think this is possible, but we think that my mom, because I'm going to give you a little like TMI story, but Grace was born 14 years before me. And then my mom had gaps of 4 and 5 years, okay? And after her third child, which my sister Maria is 5 years from me, she looped her tubes, okay? Yeah. So it was really a miracle back then that I was conceived, and then I came breech, and that's a whole story. But because we're so similar, I was like, I think there was an egg stuck.
Yeah. But you know what's really crazy is, so I have 2 older boys and then a daughter, and they're 9 and 12 years difference from their sister. And so then Michelle ended up having the same thing, 2 boys and a girl, a daughter. But the crazy thing is her older son, Gabriel, acts exactly like my older son Michael, like an old soul.
Yeah.
Then Dominic, her son, is a goofball like my son Joseph. Like they're the exact same.
It's crazy.
And then Milana, her daughter, is spitting personality of my daughter Victoria.
Yeah. Like to the point where you're just like, is this possible? Like every time I used to watch Victoria, obviously.
Yeah.
And when Milana does things, I'm like, oh my God, this is my niece.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But anyways, let's talk about, let's cut the, cut
to the chase.
Cut to the chase. We could talk for hours, okay? Actually, I'm going to be honest with you. Grace can call you. Grace will be your friend that calls you every single day and says, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm doing the same thing every single day, Grace, okay?
My husband says that. I'm doing the same thing that I was doing half an hour
ago. And then I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, nothing. And then I'm like, or she'll bring her dog Brisket every week to the groomers.
I wanted to bring Brisket here today, but that was just not.
Brisket is her 4th child.
He is. I gave birth to it. But.
Yeah. So we were raised in, we're both Italian. Our parents are from Italy, immigrants. Grace, take it, what was your upbringing like?
So I always remember having an amazing childhood. I always say, because I was always at my nonna's house, and there was always parties, like the dinner parties.
Yeah.
I always remember a great childhood. I do remember little parts of my life. I remember we were at our Aunt Josephine's house. I don't know if it was Christmas, whatever, and I had this dress on. I had to be 7. It was white with lime green spots, and my Aunt Marianne was upstairs changing diapers to one of her kids. I think it might have been Sylvia or Mary.
Yeah.
And I was sitting on the bed, and my stomach was just it was a stretchy dress, and I was just so bloated because I just finished probably eating everything in sight, and I was laying on the bed. I said, "Oh, Aunt Marianne, I feel so fat," and I remember I had to be 7, but it was such. Now I know it's an emotional impact. I remember it. She's like, "That's okay, Grace. You'll be fine." I'm like, "No," and I remember the feeling I had of always being heavy, at school. The upbringing was great, but the upbringing and which is great. And I still do this with my kids when they come home. Like, what do you want to eat? Like, what do you want to eat? It's always like, what do you want to eat? Like, I'm not hungry. Okay, what do you want to eat? Yeah. Like, I remember Nana Maria's house. My mom worked, and we would go there after school, and she'd make cookies and coffee for us, which we would stuff our face. Then she had the big Garfield bag of chips, and we'd eat that. And then my mom would pick us up go home for dinner. And I remember, like it was yesterday, sitting at the table, and I was so full. And I didn't want to eat, but it's like eat, right? Because I had just stuffed my face, right? And it just progressed. And I remember in grade 5, I asked my mom to go on Weight Watchers because my neighbor went on Weight Watchers, or Marie, Sherry's mom. So I went to Weight Watchers, and I remember in grade 5, Mrs. DeBicky I had, and I would open my lunch pail, and my mom measured like 1 ounce of cheese and an apple. That was my snack. And everybody was eating Twinkies and Joey Louie. And it was just like, I said, I would be like, I'm never, ever, I just didn't even, I couldn't even fathom being skinny or losing weight or being healthy. Like, I couldn't even wrap my mind around, like, how do I even do this? Because it's just, it was not part of our life.
I think the same thing, too. Like, I mean, you struggled with weight, and I've shared before, I had an eating disorder, and I think, I always say I had, but it never leaves you. Let's just be real. It just never leaves. No. And I think that, like, because of, watching Grace, and these are not things that are meant to happen. Like, me as a parent, sometimes I swear, and I yell, and I say things, and then, my youngest hears it, but we don't mean to do it. We're doing the best we can at the time that we're given. And watching Grace and my mom go to Weight Watchers, I was 5 years old, so I go to Weight Watchers.
Well, well, it's not like even Weight Watchers. So, like, I was thinking the other day, like, Weight Watchers, Scarsdale, the cabbage soup diet, Nutrisystem.
Jenny Craig.
I did Jenny Craig, right? And the feel, it always goes back to the feel. Remember, like, those little packages, and you're just like, okay, so this is what I got to eat. Or when I was on Weight Watchers on our Sunday pasta dinners, lunches, right? We all had pasta, meatball, salad, and then we had fruit because we weren't full enough, right? And I remember getting the measuring cup, and I'm pouring my half a cup of pasta on my plate, right? It's just like all this stuff.
Restrictions.
And like the diet industry is $1 billion industry. And you know why? Because we keep going back for more and more, right?
I just wish, like, this is the thing. So we were raised that way. My mom did the best she, like, it's nothing other than my mom.
She struggled with her weight too, right?
It has nothing to do with our parents, but they are defining moments in our life, and this is why we're super passionate about helping women, because we see the struggle, right?
And I was going to ask you, why do you want to help women?
Well, the reason I want to help women is that, I was very unhappy with my body size. I was bullied, okay? When we say bullied, I was bullied. I was bullied because
we call it bullying now.
Right, but I was teased all the time because I was the biggest kid. They would say, you're fat, and then I started to watch what I was doing in grade 4. Like, I didn't want to eat a certain way, and then it progressed to, your friends are smaller than you, and then, all the boys want to hang out with them, and, you're not really finding your identity. So for me, going through all these pregnancies and gaining so much weight and knowing that, you have that eating disorder, you're trying to do better because you don't want your kids to have it. So for me, it's that when I help women, it allows me to use it as therapy because I want them to feel confident and make decisions that are going to impact their lives in a positive way. And when I feel like, they're successful, it brings me joy. If you ever did love languages, mine is service. Okay.
That's not mine. I like to receive.
Yeah. Grace and I, let's just bring it up, be honest. Grace is definitely like,
I just heard that yesterday. I'm like, yeah, that's not mine.
Yeah, no. And you have to be honest with yourself. Like, Grace always tells me, like, why are we, like, we're very similar, but we have very different strengths, right? For me, definitely, educational analytics. Grace loves reading and education, but in a different way, right? For me, it's always like getting the highest marks, analyzing, Excel sheets. That's where we differ, right?
Well, you know what? I want to write this down so I don't forget. Okay, so what you were saying about how we're raised, another thing, too, and I don't know anybody out there that was an overweight child, because now you can't even say you're overweight or fat. Like, it is what it is. Like, it is. But it was like, I remember, like, aunts and uncles, like, great aunts, great uncles, or, like, no, you're big boned.
Yeah.
No, this is the way you're going to be. No, like, your great nana was big. You're going to be like that, right? So you start to believe that this is the way things have to be. That was number one. And number two, so I have an eating disorder. I actually went to get help at an anorexic clinic. At the time, Dr. Meyer, I won't mention his name, said, I can't find this picture. It was like a bobblehead, but he goes, "Oh, you have anorexia." And I'm like, "No, I don't. Like anorexic people, like they're like this, right?" Yeah. He goes, "No, it's a mental thing." So I actually went to get help at a clinic. And funny thing is, after I separated from my husband, I was completely fine, right? So because what causes it is stress and stuff. So basically they said, I'm good now. Yeah. But an eating disorder can be triggered by anything again. So if there is a death in my family, a divorce, something unhappy, anything like a bankruptcy, anything in my life.
You resort back to what you can control.
Right? Because an eating disorder is control. Yeah. So for me, it's like I have control over food. I have control over exercise. Yeah. That's my control mechanism, right? So I know I completely went off track. I just didn't want to forget that. But like that's really important where you said, and then even you don't want to pass it on to your kids. Yeah. Well, I don't want to pass it on to my kids, to be honest, but I did. So, you know, as a young mom to my boys, like they still look at labels. Like my son is in the food industry, my oldest son. Yeah. Right? He knows everything about
but he's using it in a positive way.
In a positive way, right? My daughter, I try my hardest, right? But did I pass it on to her? Probably, because she's the only person that eats fruit and vegetables as snacks. And
but the thing is, like, remember, like, bits and part, like, it's okay for your kids, I believe, to see you struggle, okay? You know, it's okay. It's open to having discussion with your kids and say, listen, like, you know, mom is, you know, went through this, and you know, it doesn't mean that you need to go through this, right? Yeah. The thing is that when we were being raised, obviously, you know, it was a very traditional Italian home. No one's gonna say to you, hey, you know what, like, you know, you can change your life. Like there wasn't an emphasis on moving your body. Like we played sports and stuff.
Sports? Who's going to play sports? Yeah. I was like 160 pounds.
We'll be honest. So like Grace and my brother, like it was different as and my sister and I came in, like we did play sports and we were given the opportunities. Yeah. And I think that was definitely an outlet for me, the sports. And then to be honest, for me, the pivotal moment was watching my dad start to work out. Like this big Italian man at 40 started to work out every day. He started to run. He started to eat better. Our lives just changed. Yeah. All of a sudden, my mom is making greens and protein for dinner, and the starches are non-existent anymore. And I'm thinking, wow, like that's huge. Like my dad has lost all this weight, and I feel like he definitely was an inspiration for me, right? And he really did help define why I am the way I am, right?
But another thing too, right? So sometimes if you're upset or anything like that, right, you go to food and you wonder, like I've done the mindset work and it's like, why when I'm upset or even happy, I'm like, I will throw everything to the air and be like, I'm going to go eat that piece of cake. So I love sweets, right? I'm going to go eat this, right? Because it's a trigger. Yeah. And I've done the mindset work and it's like, yes, I remember when I was young, right? It's like, you know, my friends, you know, tease me. So I would go in the house crying and my mom or my dad say, here, I'll make you something to eat. Yeah. So it's a trigger. So we call it a paradigm, right? Yeah. It's a habitual behavior that it's so programmed. So for an example, something great happened this week. I was so excited when I heard the news. What do? I went to the pantry. Yeah. And I literally stopped myself and I was like, why am I doing this? I'm not even hungry.
I know. This is the thing.
It's triggers.
I feel like you don't need an eating disorder. Like, to have these feelings. You don't need to resonate with us because you had eating disorder. Every woman, okay, we're passionate about women, but it can happen to men too. But the thing is that we have so much on our plate, okay? We take care of our kids, we work, we want to have careers, we want to stay home mom, whatever it is for you. Sometimes you just need that, hey, you know what? Someone else is going through the same thing.
But you know what? You don't have to be a busy mom. No. You don't have to have all this stuff on your plate. No. You can still like, you know, like you said, you call me, you're like, what are you doing? Nothing. But the thing is, let's be honest here. Okay, you never asked me why I want to do this.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Okay, back up. If we do not ask Grace, it all comes back to this. Okay.
No. Okay. Did you tell? No. You know why? I've thought about this 1,000 times. But I'm like, okay, acts of service, all this. Yeah, no, like that's on me. Yeah, but okay. I do want to help people. I want women to know that you don't have to starve yourself, and number one, you don't have to do a diet fad, number two, and number three, all this social stuff, and I want to say, can I say no, bull something, is not true what they tell you. Like, you have to take the diet pills. You have to do this. You know what? It is so simple. You never have to starve yourself.
Yeah.
And because I made it so complicated all my life, well, now it's been like, I think Joseph's going to be 25, so it's going to be like 26 years that I lost 75 pounds, and then probably another 20 in the coming, so almost 100 pounds. You don't have to starve yourself.
Yeah.
You do not have to starve yourself.
We're
you do not
overcomplicating
have
it.
to go crazy at the gym. I love working out like crazy. That's because I love it. It's more for a mental thing. You don't have to do all these things. Yeah. You could absolutely lose weight and
go for a walk, eat clean.
Walking, and number 2, you have to change the way you see things. So what you focus on grows. If you're looking in the mirror and telling yourself how fat you are, how ugly you are, how you're not good enough, right? It's going to trickle down. You're not going to get the results. But, and one thing I really think is super important is don't give yourself a timeline. Like, that's when I lost all my weight. It's like, you know what? I found my life. Yeah. There's no pressure. And another thing I find really is important is no one is going to be perfect. Yeah. You are going to go out and eat the cheesecake and drink the 2 bottles of wine.
But that's what life is all about.
But this is where women get stuck. They fall off the wagon and then they're like, to hell with it. It's done. I'm no good. No. Just start the next day. Just start
exactly.
over.
This is the thing too. Like when I train women, that's exactly what I say, right? Like watching Grace. For first of all, too, like watching you lose all that weight. I was, what old was I when Joseph was born? I was 12. Mm-hmm. I was 12. Okay. I used to watch her kids when she went to the wire for a run. But watching Grace do that, I was like, man. And Grace actually inspired me to become a fitness instructor because...
Oh, Richard Simmons.
I used VHS, spent to the oldies. I'm young. I'm living at home. Grace in the basement. We're doing on ceramic, and I'm like loving life. Okay?
Oh my God, I forgot about the ceramic.
The ceramic. We got ceramic. There was no sponge for the knees. Okay.
Well, okay. What Italian has like doesn't have ceramic? Let's put it that way.
And a kitchen and a bar in the basement. But anyways, long story short, so we all like Grace really propelled me into the fitness world. So going to the Y, we loved high-low class. We loved, remember?
God. I'm still a cardio junkie.
Oh yeah, so I mean, I love weights. I really have learned to love it, but man, that high-low, that feeling.
Nothing will take it away.
Nothing can take it away, but you got to find your thing.
But you know what? I don't want to interrupt you, which I'm doing.
Don't interrupt me. Okay, go on,
Is a lot of women are like, oh, I don't want to go work out. I hate it, okay? Yeah. I get it. Yeah. When you first start, it might not be your thing. And sometimes you have a lot of weight to lose, and it's like that's the last thing you want to do is move your body because you're like, you can't breathe, you're out of breath, and you don't really feel comfortable in your own body. Let's be real. But
move over, you're falling over.
Oh, sorry. But just going, But just going to move your body, you won't believe this, but you will be less tired. You will have less energy. You will be more confident because when you're done, so the first 10 minutes might suck, and it's still, when I go work out, sometimes the first 15, 20 minutes
that's
are
normal.
like,
that's scientifically, it takes oxygen to take that long.
I don't want to do this. But then once I get into it, and then once I'm done, you feel like you can conquer the world, and you will make healthier food choices. You just will, because I don't even know how that
you feel good.
Like I know more about the mindset stuff, but
it's endorphins going through your body. It's a feel good hormone. So now all that serotonin is rushing through, and we feel better. When you feel better, you don't want to eat like crap because you want to have that feeling last.
And you're not going to have momentum when you first start. Yeah. Right.
Oh, I want to say one thing. I got to do that.
Okay, well, let's get into it.
Momentum.
Momentum. Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
What causes momentum is action.
Yeah.
So give yourself, honestly, even 2 weeks. Just get up and do it for 5 days a week for 2 weeks. And then you're going to be like, holy man, I feel really good. Okay, go.
No, I was going to say the same thing. Listen, I'm in this space. I have online studio. I train. And I tell women all the time, listen up. No one's going to wake you up in the morning. No one's going to change you. You have to make that decision. If you are living your life for someone else, a spouse, a child, that's not going to work. Motivation will only last that long. You got to create the habits of consistency in order to get started. But we have first of all, we can ramble forever.
Wait, I got one more thing. So, and this is what I teach my clients, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, like, I do the mindset work.
Yeah.
And they're like, my husband's, okay, I'm going to use, because we're talking to women, majority of people.
Yeah.
My husband's not on board, okay? oh, it's too much money for the course, or they're in the course now. They finally got the money to pay for the course. They're in the course. And like, my husband's not supportive of me waking up. Like, now he's like putting more pressure on me. I find he's more mean, this and that. And I always say, you can react or respond, right? So you respond. Don't worry about your spouse. Don't worry about your children. Don't worry about your coworkers. You change, and I promise you, everyone around you will change. So your husband might not be on board with you right now. Yeah. He might not be on board of you joining an online community, like say Bulb, to work out. He might not be online about you cooking healthy, right? Yeah. You continue to do it. You don't respond. You don't react to him. You change, and I 120% will tell you, your spouse will change. Yeah. Because you can't change anyone. You have to change yourself. So you keep pushing forward. And they will change around you. I promise you that. Don't worry about changing your spouse. Yeah. Don't worry about doing that.
And it's true. Like, at the end of the day, you're living your own life. You have to remember that. You are living in your body.
Did you see my post I posted yesterday on Facebook about we live between B and D, right? So birth and death. Yeah. We don't know when the D comes. Yeah. You only have that space in between. Like, that's a good one. Bob Proctor has an hourglass. You know, he was my mentor who just passed away. An hourglass. And I just got goosebumps. And the hourglass is going through. You don't know when your time is done. You really don't know.
Why are you waiting? At the end of the day, you have to make the decision. Why are you waiting to live your life?
And I could say this because I was over 200 pounds. Yeah. So I can honestly say this. And if I get backlash from this, I believe this. And this is my personal opinion. Yeah. If you are overweight, you cannot be 100%. You can be happy and love your body. Oh, sorry. You can love your body. Yeah. Like, you can love yourself. I'm not saying don't still not love yourself. But personally, when I was 220 pounds, I didn't love my life. You know what? I couldn't play sports. Yeah. I was teased. I had to wear old women clothing when I was a teenager. I hated looking in the mirror. So you know what? No, I wasn't happy. And I could say that.
You could say if that's your experience. Listen.
Doesn't mean I didn't love my family. I didn't love the love I had in my family and the love I loved to people. But in my core, I wasn't happy with myself. And I think with every pound that you lose, you shed that old self and pound of confidence.
But remember, I just want to say something. Okay, listen. Grace wanted change. Okay, she was unhappy. She didn't feel that she could do the physical things that she wanted to do, right? So by her losing that weight, she felt like she was becoming a new person, and that worked for her.
You do become a new person.
But the thing is, remember, everyone is different. Everyone is different. If you feel that you're in your best physical shape, because at the end of the day, you want to have a body where you're able to do things confidently.
I'm not saying to be like, I don't want to take it wrong, like to be skinny. I'm saying to be healthy and strong. Yeah. And like, when I was losing weight, you know, even if I had lost 25 pounds and I was running, right? Or now I look back and I'm like, okay, that was I was jogging. I was not running. Yeah. let's be real, right? Okay. But I felt like I could conquer the world, but I only lost 25 pounds, right? And I was starting to eat healthy. Yeah. And it's a journey, right?
Exactly.
The journey's the fun part, because once you've lost the weight, then it's like, now you got to maintain this. Yeah. Right? It's the journey getting there.
On the journey, you learn the tools to maintain. This is the thing. Yeah. So, like, we could talk for hours. Okay, clearly we could talk for hours. Yeah. But the thing is that we're going to start every Friday, coming live and offering tools that are going to help you succeed. But remember, you got to be open to receive it, okay? We are speaking honestly because, listen.
We're speaking of, this might not resonate with everybody.
Yeah, right? Exactly. But the thing is, we are sharing how we feel. And to be honest, I've been working with women for 20 years. And every woman that comes to me, there's always a pattern. And this is the pattern, is that you don't have self-worth. Mm-hmm. You don't feel confident in your abilities, and you don't feel like if you were looking in the mirror naked, that you could strut yourself. So
do you know how many women I speak to? You talk about self-worth. I can't talk. It must be my BOTOX. But anyway, sorry.
I'm not sponsored by any BOTOX, okay? Okay, this is a young face.
Okay. So anyways, I women, and honestly, that don't even feel comfortable in their skin to be naked in front of their husband in intimacy. Yeah. I speak to, that gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, it's just sad.
They are having intimacy in the dark because
they don't want to show their bodies.
They don't want to show their
so
body.
So we want to teach you tools so you start strutting yourself and
you
feeling sexy again.
First of all, the guys like a little bit of,
Like, it is what it is.
It is.
When you feel confident, it's going to radiate. And honestly, when you start feeling good about yourself, you don't care what anyone says. You lose the expectations of everybody else. And you know what? You lift yourself to a standard, and if people want to meet you at that standard.
Yes, I love that. Have a standard. Have a standard. Give me 5. Give me 5. That was really good. That was really good. I wish I
don't you say we could say it. Okay, listen. We could talk for hours. I could keep saying, but we're gonna save more for next week. So, what I want you to do right now, if you loved what we're talking about, first of all, comment, share this out. We're gonna upload it on YouTube. Keep sharing, because listen up.
Well, why don't you put at the bottom of your podcast? Why don't you link into your community?
Yes, I will.
Okay, yeah.
So we, Grace is behind times. Okay, great.
Okay, I'm a podcast junkie. That's what they all say.
Okay. But I want to tell you right now, our goal for this is to come off the cuff, candidly, and tell you through experience of how we can help you. Okay. Remember, we have multiple years of experience here, but we're talking from our heart and compassion, because we know that women are suffering, okay? We have lived our lives with the expectation of others, or you've lived your lives thinking what you should be because of what you're raised. We were raised a different way, and we love the way we were raised. We joke about it all the time. We love our parents, okay?
Oh my God, I love my mom for breakfast fried bean mortadella, salami, and cheese.
Okay, I still love it. And at the end of the day, that was our heritage, and we still want to keep it because that's how we were raised, and that's how we honor our grandparents that passed.
I want to say too, the struggle never ends. Like self-worth, like, okay, you lose 100 pounds, now you got loose skin, which sometimes I want to talk about that too, right?
Yeah.
Or you want to do a certain surgery, or that, like, it never ends, but you just always have to do the work. Like, you
always have to be present. But one other thing we're going to finish off is that you have to be happy with what you're doing. So let's back up. If you want to wear a racy outfit to Walmart, do it. Okay?
Wear lipstick. It always makes you feel better.
Exactly. I promote that too. You want to wear lipstick? Wear. You're like, oh my God, I don't wear bold colors. Who cares? If you want to get liposuction, if that makes you happy, then do it. We're in the business of making you feel happy.
Do you know what my coach said to me? And this will always resonate with me. She said, so we teach, like, you write out your self-image of who you want to become. So she wrote her and she became her. So I teach, it's all visualization, and you have to, so find somebody that you want to emulate, okay? Yeah. Somebody that, say I emulate Michelle, I want to be Michelle. So I start dressing like Michelle. I start acting like Michelle. So for me, I like, women that wear like leopard and lipstick.
I like leopard. See, we have to be twins. I don't know.
So anyways, I start to emulate people like that. I start acting like, I love fitness people, so I want to be strong. So when I'm working out, even though I'm not that person, like I don't look like them, but when I'm working out, in my head, I'm like that person, like the bodybuilder. Like, that's how I see myself when I'm working out, and I give 120%, and I'm like, no, I'm strong like her. Because I actually believe, I don't know what's fake and what's real, because in my mind, I am that person, even though my body doesn't look like that person now.
I just want to end on this, because we're going to end.
Sorry.
Go. But along that line, okay, like, I'm just going to toot my own horn here, because I'm 14 years younger. No, I'm joking. Okay, what about my daughter's daycare teacher gave me the best compliment, okay? 2 weeks ago, I walked in there, and she said, I know who you remind me of, and I've known her for years. She goes, you remind me of J-Lo. You know the new movie, Marry Me? I'm like, what? I love J-Lo. So I was like, I think that I'm J-Lo. So I'm just like, you know what? I tell you what, if you want to be a magical unicorn, be a magical unicorn. But I'm channeling J-Lo all the time.
Who am I? Oh, from Married with Children, Peggy.
Oh, Peggy Bundy. Okay, okay. Just wait. This outfit is tame today. Just wait till we get some comfortable clothing on. Okay, thank you so much for joining.
Yes,
I hope you had fun. Thanks, Grace, for joining. But listen, we are coming back every Friday. Like, share.
Oh, I'm away next week. But maybe I could do it when I'm away.
Okay, yeah.
We'll see. Okay.
Like I said, we're just off the cuff, so this is not scripted.
My cheetah inner child will be away next week.
Yeah, I'm not scripted, so I might just talk about Grace next week. Okay, have a great day. Ciao.